Hello everyone, it's Farket here. In this video, I'm just going to be reading out the patch notes. There is a lot, so this is going to be more of a podcast or more of like a audiobook. I'm not even kidding, it's freaking long. And I'm recording this at the end of what I've just done, so my voice is starting to go. I need to rest it. Though if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like. Each like helps my voice recover. Anyway, here we go. It's read in order the way they've listed it. They've improved the range of firelights. They've set medium quality settings to previous version settings. TAA is off by default. You can turn it on via the option menu. They have fixed repairing the small cabin, the small log one. They have fixed attaching plastic torch to weapons. They have fixed Cave 8, the bridge room floor, and the broken water zone. They fixed grey contrast for caves and nighttime. They have fixed repairing defensive spikes. They have fixed creepy armor value, not accounted for on the stats page display. Used to count as 0. They have fixed missing icon on sled after loading a save game. All tasks are now strike through after doing the alternate ending. They fixed the wrong menu mapping for DualShock gamepads with Zinput on. I think that's your pronounced Zinput. I don't know. They fixed missing dates on the save slots in the title scene. They added clouds beside window in the opening plane scene. You can now craft a spear bag, which allows you to carry 5 basic spears. They improved lightning in the opening cutscene, the drag away scene. They've added a new pickup item, hairspray. Use hairspray with a lighter for a mini flamethrower. Findable in some suitcases in specific parts of the world. It's the yellow ones you gotta keep an eye out for. You can now carry up to 10 rabbit skins and 10 deer skins as well. You can also retrieve boar and raccoon skins and carry 10 of each. So basically you can carry 10 of each skin. New art added, skinned boar. New icons added for slingshot, hairspray, raccoon and boar skin. They fixed shooting arrows into the end boss, causing arrows to scale incorrectly. That was actually quite entertaining if you could find a video on it. It's quite funny to watch. They fixed the chainsaw still animating when out of fuel. Now this says new item added spoiler, but I've already covered them in the last video. Pulled props, such as benches and chairs now staple on smoothly when approached or backed away. You'll notice this when you go into cannibal villages. They can be a bit chaotic. They added a spoiled meat shader. Meat will now visually decay depending on its state. They improved the look of cooked rabbit and lizard. The multi-thrower, well, also known as a catapult, now uses grab icon instead of climb icon. Menu buttons when activated are now yellow instead of grey to make it clearer as to what they are on. They fixed some of the wrong capitalization in options menu and renamed fastest preset to very low. I always found that confusing why they called it fastest. They fixed locked icon when placing body and part of endgame. They added 4 new buildable creepy head trophies. I covered that in the last video. You can cut the head off the cowman, Virginia, Armsy, and mutant babies. They fixed the dynamic text in the book and on the manifest, so they aren't visible when the book is clipped. They fixed lighting on text in book and manifest. They updated the new font shader for smoother font edges. They improved the look and resolution of blue inventory tarp. They made the lighter yellow to be easier to see on the inventory tarp. It was originally yellow ages ago, then they made it blue, and then I've gone back to yellow. They've added a small white dash underneath the page numbers. Next and previous page buttons are now spaced out across both pages. There's new Xbox and PS4 controller icons. Fixed extra pixels visible at top of flame texture sheet on stick lit. This is why it's quite frustrating to read the patch notes because of the way they write them. I'm guessing it's got to do with the upgraded stick when it's on fire. Fixed gazebo built not lining up with gazebo ghost. Head trophies can now be harvested from creepy corpses, as I was mentioning before. They added signals page in book in place of effigies. Effigy page now shows up after sanity falls below 50%. So that's why effigies were missing. They're still there. You just have to drop your sanity. Still no word on what low sanity does apart from that. Calories are now always considered positive and lead to gaining strength unless in hard survival difficulty mode. I think this makes gaining strength a lot easier. Player collect and switching clothing system. You can now find specific colored suitcases in the world which have outfits you can change into. Some caves in specific locations have unique outfits. I covered this in the previous video. You can get pilot uniform, tuxedo, that sort of thing. Or also, if you hit the air hostess at the start, you can get her outfit wearing. It looks pretty funny. Anyway, darkened inventory UI backing when hovering over an item to make it easier to see, obviously. Held flares now require right click to light, so it's no longer automatic. They added new space, L and R icons for new keyboard interaction. You can now use a rebreather light in the ocean at night. In multiplayer, dying with an empty inventory no longer produces a backpack. They've reworked inventory item descriptions and placement, less text overall. They've increased the thickness of a yellow outline when holding to select an item. They improved the game start times. They've added a new end night logo at the start of the game. They have made major memory improvements, reduction by removing unused assets and older duplicates of plants that were no longer being used. Deer skin can no longer be equipped as an armor piece. It says check below for replacement. That would be the warm suit. You can now craft a warm suit. Wearing a warm suit replaces all your current armor, forcing you to choose between warmth and damage protection. There is a new crafting cog icon and a new multiplayer dying skull icon. That appears over a player when they die, so you know where they are, so you can try and revive them. You can now wear skin from dead creepies. This is the strongest, coolest looking armor in the game. They duplicate their patch notes a lot. Added some hairspray pickups to some of the further beach huts. So there you go, so you can find some. Added clothing switch suitcase to some areas near the snow and in further Cannibal Village locations. Happy birthday trap text now matches the rest of the book. They fixed some of the wrong legacy leftover icons. New check-off animals system added with drawings. As you find animals and plants in the world, the grayscale drawings will turn into colored pictures. To activate, look at the animals or plants up close for a short period of time. Fix player not holding logs properly if logs were picked up while cold and hands were empty. They improve cut geometry when chopping off dead shark heads. They align construction UI with camera. Run speed now slightly increases with athleticism skill level. I've noticed it's actually quite a lot faster. You run pretty quick now. You might be able to outrun cannibals now. Don't know about the charging cowman though. They improve the look of ambient occlusion. I'm just going to move on from that one. AA, bloom, depth of field, motion blur, chromatic aberration, and grain are all now using Unity post-processing. Added new improved camera image effects for AA, bloom, motion blur, chromatic aberration, eye adaptation, and grain. There are 4 new structures added and will become available when, well, spoiler. You can now equip Timmy photo from inventory to remember him. Very sweet. Icons on backpack quick select tooltip now render correctly. Item tooltip now extends length if item name is longer. In-game pause menu now uses action icons instead of hand icon. Small generic meat renamed to small meat and generic meat renamed to meat. Renamed. That's what I just said. Never said that before. Anyway. Meat freshness is now displayed in a description line of the tooltip instead of the item name, maybe to make it easier to see what its freshness is at. Fixed all meats not in caps. Fixed X icon inside stuff like circle, eat food, a few pixels too high. The wording of that, man. I'm just going to move on. I'm not going to touch that one anymore. Fixed translation showing localized text for keys no longer used in English. Fixed translation showing localized text for keys no longer used in English. For example, removed item descriptions. Added plant and animal specific message when ticking off stuff in the nature guide. Tweaked previous and next gamepad action icon, position, and the book pages. They've rewrote cell culling, should fix a lot of the tree flickering and several cases that left distant cell rendering enabled. This was a problem I noticed, especially when you've cut down a lot of trees. Player will now stop and look at a photo of Timmy if attempting to leave the world on a raft. I haven't tried this one. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think you can leave the world though. They've improved the placement of distraction devices and bombs that are placed on trees. Distraction devices refers to the cassette player. They've rearranged positioning of many items in the inventory. Circuit boards is one that's very noticeable. New stealth armor model and textures in inventory that match worn version. You can now carry the full armor amount of each armor type. Action icons are now 15% smaller. This will help with left-hand side messages. L to light now has a circle around it before press to indicate you need to hold. All items in the inventory now animate and play a sound when hovered over. Crafting items together will also cause an animation to play and the cogwheel to spin when hovered. Added missing translation in MP scene. I'm not even sure what that is. There is now 2 endings, so you have to decide which one you want. Player will now be faced with a decision to either spoiler or spoiler. Gamepad can no longer navigate to the top buttons in the options. Use bumpers to navigate instead. Checked missing caps option in options and title scene. Fixed rafts, sometimes bouncing up and down weirdly while in water. They fix a player moving at wrong speed when attacking immediately after a downward strike. They've added a new loading, unloading caves message when entering or exiting caves. It's down the bottom left, I think, or bottom right. I don't even know. Pretty sure it's bottom left. In multiplayer, they've improved the animation sync of creepy ragdolls. They've fixed player able to fire empty flintlock pistol while in aim mode. Book texts are now dynamic, allowing translations to smoothly blend in. That's probably why my game was chunky, because I have a feeling they haven't done this properly. It just means that it's not a static image anymore. There's multiple images going on. Newly picked up in world items now shine in inventory until first interacted with to alert you about the new item. That's pretty cool. Fixed walkie-talkies not working correctly on dedicated servers. They fixed some always-on dynamic objects falling out of the world when game starts. Means they fall underground. Ingredients recipe now shows a long product icon and name. When adding ingredients to the crafting mat, giving you a list of all the possible items you can craft using this ingredient. It's much better than it was before. It actually tells you exactly what you need. Player can no longer save while doing other actions like entering caves or climbing ropes. They fixed spacing of embedded action icon in between labels. They finished the book drawing buildings. These should make the book feel more enjoyable to look through and make quickly identifying structures easier. Selecting pouch or quiver in the inventory now correctly highlights the entire model. They've improved the look of selected materials in inventory and fixed the manifest not highlighting when selected. They changed the bottom left message to limit 5 per message type at a time. For example, no more than 5 got item entries. Clothing outfit pickup roles now give far fewer chances of receiving already owned pieces of clothing. So they are random. I thought they were assigned. I think some are specific, such as the air hostess, the cockpit, and the tuxedo at the bottom of the sinkhole. They've added a 0.2 second delay before showing tooltips in the inventory. They fix boats being pushed if moving against additional built structures on them, making them easy to flip over. Item tooltip positioning improved. In performance, they improved the cull grid performance. Sheen inventory now uses a screen space effect. Fixes sheen effect after being affected by UVs. They fixed the player being able to shoot multiple rocks from the slingshot. They fixed quickly hovering a single item over a crafting mat, sometimes leaving it wrongly enabled. There is a new base fire effect, new Molotov fire effect. They've also replaced the player being on fire and enemies being on fire with new fire effects. I'm on the fence about that one. Let me know what you think. I think the old one looks good as well. They improved the positioning of blood when hitting enemies. New close map, pedometer, and rewind icons to replace legacy text. Same bonus upgrade recipes are now combined into a single entry in the recipe list shown when adding ingredients to the crafting map. A performance fix. They optimized a bunch of textures and fixed and removed a ton of old reference textures and models that were no longer in the game. Another performance fix, cleaned up a bunch of unused resources that were being kept in the memory. Upgrades can now be placed automatically, replacing the old fiddly system. Fixed cases of upgrade ingredients on the crafting mat not showing the filling cog. New crafting mat action icons design. I don't even know what that means, it's so vague. They added a new outline ghost shader. A thin outline will appear around outlines, giving them more of a drawn appearance and making them easier to see in various lighting conditions. Various? Nah, moving on. Fixed cursor appearing below filling cog and inventory. Fixed far shadow option, still calculating when disabled. Procedural buildings point locking logic, that's a bit of a tongue twister, will now properly check for permission to build on a dynamic structure, thus effectively preventing doing so with its current state of features. Procedural means custom stairs, and dynamic structure means boats and log sleds. It might make it very difficult to build on boats from now on. Crafting tutorial now saves to open book, and doing so will now open the crafting chapter. Replace the tutorial in the inventory when acquiring Molotov ingredients for the first time. Calories text on the stat page and inventory item tooltip is hidden unless in a hard survival game. It's probably why it's causing a bit of confusion as to how strength has changed. It's not relevant in normal or hard mode, so that's probably why it was missing. Fixed can see through heads on effigies, small and large. God, the way that's worded. Fixed houseboat ghost building too high above water. Chair now requires deerskin instead of rabbit skin to construct. Fixed multi-view created crafting inventory views, retaining the selection outline. Fixed Molotov liquid sound effects playing when loading a save game. God, this one was a weird one. This one's been around for a while. Fixed stash item wish when loading a save game. That one too. Fixed stash lighter routine playing sound effect when the lighter isn't equipped. Was triggering, for example, when bending the bow. Fixed player name display on load save screen. In multiplayer, they fixed the wrong font used in parts of the chat UI. They fixed button hover visual end book, remaining active after clicking on a link, and flashing off when going back through previous pages. The wording, man. Fixed place take icons not always updating correctly on food holders. They removed building proximity check on structures where it didn't make sense, such as bridges, zip lines, leaf pile traps, sap collectors, etc. I'm so glad they got rid of this one. This one's really annoying, especially for leaf pile traps. There's no collision. Why can't I freaking build it? Well, you can now. Fixed bench and armor mannequin, missing build hammer. They improved the positioning of hammer icons on ghost structures and fixed some cases of icon visible before ghost position was placed. Now, I don't know why, but the developers call blueprints ghost. I think it's just for ease. Blocked building rafts on terrain can now only be built on water like the rest of the boats. That covers small rafts. They used to be able to be built on land, but now they can't. D-pad down button is now bound to the utility action when using the DualShock gamepad. Fix cloth-wrapped weapons missing alpha cut-out effect, and fix wrong UVs on burnt cloth. Cloth-wrapping weapons are now red. I don't know how I feel about that one. I prefer the white personally, I think. Easy to tell if it's burnt. They improved the look of held weapon fire and added distortion effect. They improved the look of the flintlock smoke, so when you fire the flintlock pistol, the smoke will look a bit better. They fixed a case of going back to the pause menu with a gamepad, leaving the action icon halfway inside the continue text. They fixed the shiver animation still playing after becoming warm. Blue skin while cold now smoothly blends on and off. In multiplayer, they fixed some of the characters having excessively shiny hair, so none of that gel look, they're going with a wax look, I believe. Improved the look of bonfire flames, and blocked cooking on bonfires can now only be used for heat and to attract enemies. I wonder if you can still throw enemies on there. I have to check that one out. In multiplayer, fixed revive player action icon remaining visible after looking or walking away. All plants in the nature guide are now ticked off by looking at them briefly in the world. New underlake plants added. Have to check Geese Lake for that one. Regular enemies can now destroy cannibal art structures by running through them. This basically means that I think cannibals can destroy their own effigies if they're running through them. They improve the look of the big lake in the game that crosses the world. So it's not called a river, it's called a lake. I suppose it makes sense because a river is supposed to connect to the ocean. This one doesn't. Interesting. Never thought about that. They fix ghost structures appearing stuttery if moving left or right while placing. Player no longer gets stuck igniting lighter when attempting to light fires and structures. I remember that. 10 hours later. Frickin' hell. They fixed backing on loading screen being grey instead of black. In caves, old suitcases in caves can now be broken. Those are those brown ones. You can find a few of them in the Katana cave, I believe. The one with a cache in it. Let me know in the comments if you know that one. They've added a sledding tutorial. I believe that's for the turtle shell, because people kept asking how to do it. Procedural building user interface, now as inverted lock, unlock icons when using gamepad to match physical positioning of buttons. New 3D crafting cog art. God, they repeat themselves a lot. Made all action icon sizes more consistent. They added a confirm override save feature. I think this is good. More saves would be good too. New quick select inventory user interface design to make quick selecting easier. I think you can use the numbers rather than hidden little cogs. It is a lot easier. They've tweaked the camcorder map and walkie-talkie icons position. Rewind icon turns off immediately when stashing the camcorder to prevent possible overlap with the map icon. New underwater lake refraction visuals and fixed looking up in cave water and seeing only black. Seen now correctly refracted. Added darkening in cave entrances to cover up transition of player entering and loading. They switched Walkman to right hand to make it possible to use fire to turn it on and off instead of having it stuck on forever. I don't know how that's going to work. I'll have to check that one out. But there was a way to turn it off before. You change the tape and then switch to the compass, and that got rid of it. Now assigning items is quick select by pressing the matching buttons after combining backpack with item on the crafting mat. I think that means what I was talking about before by using the numbers. Now dynamically centering the switch ghost wall type and cancel ghost icons instead of using pre-placed position, which was not centered in the case of unused icons. I don't know what the hell that means. Burning plants are now considered as destroyed immediately, and the fire can no longer be cancelled by walking away to trigger a LOD change or a LOD change. You might be able to cut it down still. I think you can do that with trees when they're on fire. That way it keeps the stump. Instancing support thing. That is the patch note. That's what it says. Instancing support thing. I'm not kidding. Have a look yourself. Nice. Anyway, burnt bushes and plants now spawn the cut version with same material look effect after burning down. They removed the coordinates from the pause screen. How rude. Don't you hate it when your neighbors have overblown exhaust for such a crap car? Like, dude, get a better car. Don't get a freaking fully sick exhaust. Oh, it's so frustrating. It messes up my recordings a lot. Back to it. The target no longer requires blue paint to build. I wonder what they're going to use instead. You should be able to paint your own target on it. It is now possible to store creepy armor on the armor rack. They're really stretching the duplications of these patch notes to make it look like they've changed more. I swear to God they have. Stay on target. Options menu fixes, fixed gameplay buttons, cleaned up gameplay nav, set up anchors to ensure buttons don't overlap each other in other languages. They fixed the weapon rack widget when placing weapons on the weapon rack, obviously. New cave climb down area covers and fixes can stand on opening holes. I wonder why they added this one. I don't know if it's to make it easier to see the holes or to prevent you looking up to see what time of day it is, because I think that might be a bit rude. Maybe it'll make it easier to see them. They've removed annoying loud bat screech from title screen. Thank God. It was annoying. Forcing always caps translations. That's the patch note. Forcing always caps translations. I'm just going to move on. Joining a game with no player slots left now reads server full. Kicked from a game message now reads you have been kicked. Banned from a game message now reads you have been banned by host. Layer backpack. Recovery message now reads recover your backpack. In multiplayer, they updated icons above players' heads. They've renamed up and down and key binding to forward and backward. That's a stretch of a patch note. God, they really try to lump them on, but I'm glad they're being specific and actually telling us what they're fully changing. They fixed placing a flare on the match, showing prompt for crafting a flare gun instead of flare gun ammo. Options are now linear instead of looping back around. Dynamically created at runtime text like build missions are now translated if changing language at runtime. There's a lot of translation fixes I've noticed from reading this. New decorative props added to Cannibal Village climb entrance. That's the one in the main Cannibal Village as far as I know. Maybe the center village as well. I have to check that one out. Made colored difficulty backing consistent across all different game modes. They fixed the scale of headless burnt bodies. I think they were rather small. A body was burned, it probably would shrink in size. Fixed big gap at the top of mappings table. New trap rearm user interface using same design as constructions and updated traps icon. Items thrown as projectile with catapult or multi-thrower. Don't forget that, developers, multi-thrower. Now use the correct pickup icon. So item thrown as projectile with catapult, now use the correct pickup icon. Fixed the rare occurrence of grabber, sometimes resetting its collider continuously, thus resetting any timed input until looking away and back. Door weights now only accept rocks and skulls and can no longer be collected back. That's good because you used to be able to put weapons and stuff on there. You really didn't want to do that. They limited the multi-thrower to rocks, skulls, dynamite, molotovs, and bombs. As mentioned, the multi-thrower is the catapult. So you can no longer use the catapult as a universal storage. So you can no longer store animal heads, which is frustrating. You're going to have to now do it all at the same time. Maybe they should make an animal head storage or a refrigerator. What do you store in your refrigerator, brah? Oh, some animal heads. They added new gore underfoot sounds to gore piles and caves. I thought they already had some good ones. I'm not sure why they've made some more. An optimization, building lights and fires will now turn off from a distance. I'm assuming this will improve performance. They make your base harder to see from a distance. Molotovs and hell-burning weapons are no longer extinguished by rain. Oh, that's good. I wonder if it's going to mention why we can't add cloth and booze to our weapons. Though I wonder if that patch includes dynamite when you light it. It goes out. I wonder if they fix that. Because in real life, and even on the dynamite itself, it's got a non-extinguishable fuse, so it shouldn't go out in water. I don't know enough about it. I'm going to move on. New black backing stripe added to pause menu. That's when it comes out, when you press escape. Stealth icon no longer visible while on rope. Fixed berries, not moving with bush and garden. They fix in cave state, sometimes breaking when entering swim caves. That would probably mean like Geese Lake where you can swim down. Fix some minor issues in spoiler, I'm guessing endgame. Fix Geese Lake water reflection being too small for the size of the lake. They match the brand of vodka on held and shelf inventory versions. Ghost models now use the same geometry and final build versions, making the models line up perfectly, they say. Perfectly. Log sleds now have a set flag color that cannot be changed to help identify its location. I think it was purple. I can't remember. They improved the placement of weapons on racks and holders. Performance fix, removed depreciated items from action icon atlas. Don't even know what that means. Burning weapons are no longer extinguished when entering caves and climbing ropes. They've set up dynamic signals, effigies, family effigies book pages. I don't know what family effigies book pages means. I really should be looking at this stuff. New buildable added, this SOS marker. I think it triggers the plane. I covered this in my last video. Items that cannot be crafted due to being at max capacity in the inventory now show up as a recipe list with the icon showing it cannot be carried. Fixed rock model and some destroyed structures not having underneath model. Fixed climbing rope attached to structure that was partially broken, causing rope animation to play in the wrong position. Big dead tree logs now fade smoothly on and off. Old caver tents now fade on smoothly and from further away. You could have just added that together, those two patch notes. Set up all systems that involve adding or taking an item and we're playing this whoosh sound effect to play a custom sound effect for any item that has one. So every item's different when you pick it up. Procedural bridges now use 3 half-log model variations. I don't know what the 3 half-log means. Maybe it's only 3 different types of log that can go on there. So it's no longer a full log. I wonder if it's cheaper though. It should be cheaper. They're too expensive. Fixed lowering texture, resolution, breaking cave entrance visuals. Gamepad's D-pads, buttons now work as well as menus to navigate. In multiplayer, to-do list is now properly carried over to the new character after dying. Food no longer loads in save games on fires. It used to be there and you could kick it around. You could find cooked rabbits floating around in your game for ages. They wouldn't disappear or go off. You could still eat them. You just couldn't pick them up. Procedural stairs now display actual shape before locking first point. I've noticed this. You should check out the custom stairs. It has changed a lot. Blocked building on small prop tents in the world. So you can't build on those small tents. That's a bit mean. Fixed bats flying out of K position being wrong. That's a good way to word it. Cloth covered upgraded stick and inventory now positioned correctly with cloth showing. Fix the very first lag spike that used to occur when launching a game. Player can no longer climb very short ropes on platforms, treehouses. I wonder how short that actually is. Switch book to do font to more readable font. That looks like it's more typed rather than written. I don't know why, I thought it was quite readable before. Fixed position of all anchor icons for all elevated structures. In multiplayer, fixed buildings placed on tree structures not properly removed if the tree is destroyed. Added missing bush 5 billboard. I've never worked out what billboards are. I've really got to look into that. I think it's a game developer texture thing. I'm not sure. They've fixed suitcases not appearing in caves for clients if host is not also in the cave. They've removed paints, flintlock, and toy from crafting achievement and replaced with other craftable items. I'll need to fix that up on the wiki. Added small snow camp and fixed alternative frozen man not appearing. So apparently he's been moved. I was wrong in my last video. I wasn't aware of that. Fixed some collision areas in snow and extended height of cliffs to cover low resolution mountain. They've reworked the crafted axe textures and bloody variation. Hopefully it looks better. I haven't checked it out. They've added LODs to procedural bridges and defensive walls. I believe this will increase performance. Procedural bridges would probably mean tree bridge. Drop bodies will now smash and push away small objects in their path. They've improved zipline environment detection to prevent placing the rope through things as much as possible. So it might be more difficult to place a zipline, though it might prevent you from wasting your time. If it's too low to the ground, you'll collide with it and then you can't use it. They fixed water level from water collector not decreasing if drinking not thirsty. Fixed ghost birdhouse or blueprint, sometimes being wrongly not placeable. Good wording. It's no longer possible to burn bodies placed in the log sled. I have to check that one out. I wonder if you can take them off the log sled and then burn them. They fixed a fortune pickup respawning if you already have it. It will no longer respawn if you've picked it up. There's like 50 of them in the game. So if a dark man here sees you or some stuff, I don't know. Cloth on enemy racks no longer respawns by going in and out of its close vicinity. I had a feeling this might have happened. Respawns if you go away from it and come back. They replaced the inventory cod with new cod model textures. I'm wondering if that's talking about fish, cod. It might be a cod fish. I don't know. I'll have to check. Let me know if you know what it's talking about. Cod, COD. It's not cog. It is now possible to remove defensive wall gates using the hole cutter. They fixed missing breaking apart effect when destroying the catapult. Yeah, that was true. It just used to kind of make a bit of smoke and dust and then it would disappear. They fixed some of the held enemy heads. They fixed some held animal heads in the wrong position on other players. They improved the LODs when oceans turn on and off. Rebreather is auto-equipped now when diving underwater in caves. There's new skin models and art for skin rack and for the skin in the inventory. Fixed, can't add some items to metal tray in multiplayer. They fixed adding lizard or fish to tray and not having them visible on the map. In multiplayer, they fixed a bunch of case of distortion not occurring for clients when damaging buildings. Oh, the way they word it. They fixed procedural floor and roofs sometimes not partnering correctly with its supporting structure. I wonder if that's going to fix up my Fark method. We shall see. They fixed switching defensive wall to gate loosening parenting information. They improved some cases of placement of defensive wall reinforcement being difficult. They fixed error log spam when using the walkie-talkies in multiplayer. They fixed some of the areas in the snow cliffs you could walk out of the world or into collision areas. New cliff lods for snow area, staple in gradually instead of pop. Deer and rabbit skin can no longer be placed on terrain as decorations. Must be only placed on walls and stuff like that. They've added loading user interface when opening endgame. Timmy drawing placement icon now matches the top of placed visual. So it might make it easier to place Timmy's drawings, but we will see. Set up ghost foundations to turn last edge red if not lockable. Fix procedural wall, custom wall, and derive structures showing place icon while not possible to place due, for example, to having a tree in the way. Advanced controller support, X input, is that it? X input. Option now on by default. Plus resetting the value for everyone. Can still be turned off if needed by using the options, but having it on allows features like throwing a spear to work fine with Xbox gamepads. Driver issue when X input is off. I think you need X input on for Steam controllers as well, so that's probably why they've done this. They fixed the position of sodas on food holder. What is a food holder? Is that the shelf, the cabinet? Is that what they're calling it now? They have so many names for things in this game. They fixed cut blackberry bushes falling through terrain. They added lot to caught rabbits in cages, so performers didn't take a hit with lots in a game. They fixed the Steam overlay, leaving a shift key stuck when pressed. In Cave 1, they fixed holes and added new lighting. In Cave 2, they fixed holes, added new lighting, and polished several rooms. Tried to make the hanging room more inviting. It is. It looks a lot better. It might be good for a base too. In Cave 3, they fixed holes, added lighting, and transition areas between other caves. In Caves 4 and 5, hole fixes and polish. In Cave 6, huge pass on lighting and general polish and fixes. In Cave 7, lighting and hole fix pass. In Caves 8 and 10, overall polish pass. Hell Caves, polish and fixes. New corridor layout added to cabin room. I don't even know what hell caves are. That's the first time I've seen that word. On the yacht, they've added a new locked door and improved room props. Made it more lived in. You should check it out. And lastly, enemies should no longer get stuck on corners of happy birthday traps. So that's all the patch notes. That's the end. Done. Let me know what you think of this release. Personally, I think it's a little bit underwhelming, though I wasn't expecting much. The way people were talking, I guess I built up hype as well. Though, I'm happy nonetheless. And if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Cheers.